In the heart of Buenos Aires, where cobblestone streets wound through vibrant neighborhoods and the scent of blooming jacarandas filled the air, a remarkable story began to unfold. The setting sun cast its golden glow over a quiet street, painting the world in hues of pink and amber. It was here, amidst this picturesque backdrop, that 5-year-old Raphael lived with his parents in a modest home whose white walls seemed to absorb the warmth of every sunset. Raphael's presence in the neighborhood was gentle and unassuming. Born with Down syndrome, he navigated the world with a unique perspective, often finding comfort in observing rather than engaging directly. His large, expressive eyes missed nothing, as he watched children play tag in the distance, or neighbors exchange greetings across garden fences. Yet, despite his keen observations, Raphael maintained a careful distance from these daily interactions. His condition had taught him to be cautious, to value his personal space, and to prefer the safety of familiar surroundings. His parents, Isabella and Javier, understood their son's needs deeply. They had transformed their home into a sanctuary of understanding and patience, filling it with soft lighting and comfortable spaces where Raphael could retreat when feeling overwhelmed. Isabella, a former preschool teacher, had dedicated herself to creating an environment that nurtured Raphael's growth while respecting his boundaries. Javier, a carpenter by trade, had built special furniture and play areas that catered to Raphael's preferences, ensuring everything was accessible yet not intrusive. The family's routine revolved around Raphael's comfort and development. Mornings began with quiet breakfasts where Raphael could choose whether to engage in conversation or simply enjoy the peace. Afternoons were spent in the small backyard, where Isabella would sit reading while keeping a watchful eye on Raphael as he played with his favorite toys. Evenings found them gathered on the front steps, watching the neighborhood come alive as day transitioned into night. Yet, despite their loving efforts, there remained an invisible barrier between Raphael and the outside world. While other children ran freely through the streets, Raphael preferred to observe from his perch on the front steps. His parents noticed how his face would light up at the sight of dogs playing in nearby yards, but he never ventured closer. The family's attempts to introduce pets into their home had always been met with hesitation, until that fateful evening, when destiny arrived in the form of a golden Labrador named Frida. Frida wasn't just any dog. She carried herself with an innate wisdom that belied her 3 years. Her owner, Senora Alvarez, an elderly woman who lived 2 blocks away, often joked that Frida possessed an old soul trapped in a young dog's body. The Labrador's golden coat shimmered like sunlight captured in fur, and her warm brown eyes seemed to hold endless depths of understanding. Neighbors frequently commented on how Frida moved through the world with a grace uncommon for her breed, her steps measured, her approach deliberate, and her reactions always appropriate to the situation. Senora Alvarez had trained Frida since puppyhood, focusing not just on basic obedience, but on developing her natural intuition. During their daily walks through the neighborhood, Frida demonstrated an uncanny ability to sense people's emotions. She would pause beside elderly residents needing companionship, rest her head gently on anxious teenagers' laps, and maintain a respectful distance from those who preferred solitude. Her reputation as the neighborhood's gentle giant grew steadily, with many families specifically requesting her company during difficult times. What made Frida truly exceptional was her capacity for patience and empathy. Unlike most young dogs who might bound excitedly toward new friends, Frida approached each interaction as if conducting a careful study of the person before her. She possessed an almost human-like ability to read body language and respond accordingly. When children cried after falling from bicycles, she would nuzzle them gently without overwhelming their personal space. If someone appeared sad, sitting alone on a park bench, she would lie quietly beside them, offering silent support through her presence. Her training had included exposure to various scenarios involving children with different temperaments and needs. Senora Alvarez had worked tirelessly to refine Frida's natural instincts, teaching her to recognize subtle cues that others might miss. The Labrador learned to differentiate between shyness and fear, between curiosity and readiness to engage. Most importantly, she mastered the art of waiting, allowing others to set the pace of their interaction while maintaining a calm, reassuring presence. As twilight settled over Buenos Aires, casting long shadows across the neighborhood streets, Frida's usual evening walk took an unexpected turn. Senora Alvarez had allowed her leash to slacken slightly, sensing that tonight her companion wished to explore independently. The Labrador's nose caught familiar scents, the sweet fragrance of jasmine from Mrs. Rodriguez's garden, the earthy aroma of fresh bread from the corner bakery. But something new drew her attention. A subtle shift in the air, a barely perceptible change in the neighborhood's rhythm pulled her toward Raphael's street. Isabella sat on the front steps with her camera phone ready, capturing the moment she hoped might break her son's isolation. Raphael perched beside her, his small frame silhouetted against the fading light. As Frida rounded the corner, her gait slowed naturally. Her sensitive ears picked up Raphael's quiet breathing, and her eyes focused on the slight figure sitting so still. Instinctively, she understood this was no ordinary encounter. Instead of trotting forward with typical canine enthusiasm, she lowered her body closer to the ground, moving with calculated gentleness. Each step brought her closer to the boy who watched her approach with wide, curious eyes. Frida's tail wagged slowly, deliberately, communicating her peaceful intentions without overwhelming him. She stopped several feet away, giving Raphael space to process her presence. Her intelligent gaze locked onto his face, reading the subtle signs of apprehension mixed with intrigue. When she tilted her head slightly, it wasn't a trained response, but a genuine expression of interest and understanding. The moment stretched taut between them, charged with possibility. Frida held her position perfectly, neither advancing nor retreating, allowing Raphael to dictate the terms of their meeting. Her breathing remained steady, providing a calming rhythm that seemed to echo through the quiet street. Senora Alvarez watched from a distance, recognizing the significance of what was unfolding. This wasn't just another friendly dog encounter. It was a meeting of souls, each carrying their own unique way of experiencing the world, drawn together by an invisible thread of understanding. Time seemed to stand still as Raphael processed this new presence in his carefully constructed world. His initial reaction was one of instinctive withdrawal, his small body tensing as he registered the approach of this large, unfamiliar creature. But something in Frida's demeanor prevented him from retreating completely. The Labrador's patient stillness spoke a language that transcended words, reaching Raphael on a fundamental level. Slowly, his rigid posture began to soften, though his fingers remained tightly clenched around the edge of his step. Isabella observed her son's internal struggle with a mixture of hope and anxiety. She recognized the telltale signs of Raphael's conflict, the slight trembling of his hands, the rapid blinking that signaled both fear and fascination. Yet she also noticed something new, a spark of curiosity that hadn't dimmed even as his body prepared for retreat. For the first time in weeks, he hadn't immediately sought refuge behind her protective embrace, choosing instead to face this new experience head-on, albeit cautiously. Frida's response was nothing short of remarkable. Sensing Raphael's tentative interest, she shifted her weight ever so slightly forward, closing the gap between them by mere inches. Her movements were so gradual they were almost imperceptible, yet they carried immense significance. Each microscopic advance was accompanied by a soft exhalation, her warm breath creating tiny ripples in the cooling evening air. When Raphael's gaze flickered downward, she remained perfectly still, allowing him to study her without pressure. The breakthrough came when Raphael's hand, seemingly of its own accord, began to extend toward the Labrador. His fingers hovered in the space between them, trembling like delicate butterfly wings. Isabella's breath caught in her throat as she watched her son battle his instinct. Years of conditioning had taught him to avoid such direct contact. Yet something about Frida's presence was overriding his ingrained responses. The Labrador, sensing this crucial moment, closed her eyes briefly, a gesture of complete trust and surrender that seemed to give Raphael the courage he needed. When his fingertips finally brushed against Frida's soft fur, the transformation was immediate and profound. Raphael's entire body relaxed, his shoulders dropping as if shedding an invisible weight. His initial touch, hesitant and feather-light, gradually became more confident. The Labrador responded with a barely perceptible lean into his hand, encouraging further exploration while maintaining her respectful distance. Tears streamed down Isabella's face as she witnessed her son's defenses melting away, replaced by an expression of pure wonder and connection. For Raphael, this moment marked a seismic shift in his perception of the world. Where once stood barriers of fear and uncertainty, now bloomed possibilities of friendship and understanding. The Labrador's unwavering patience and intuitive response had created a safe space for him to explore beyond his comfort zone. What started as a tentative reach had evolved into a bridge spanning the gap between isolation and connection, built brick by brick through mutual respect and trust. In the days that followed, an extraordinary transformation began to unfold in Raphael's world. Each afternoon, as the sun dipped lower in the sky, Frida would appear at the end of their street, her golden coat glowing like a beacon of hope. The initial trepidation that had characterized their first meetings gradually gave way to eager anticipation. Raphael would now watch from the window, his face lighting up at the sight of his furry friend approaching. The change in his demeanor was remarkable. Where once he would have retreated to the safety of his room, he now positioned himself on the front steps, waiting with a patience that mirrored Frida's own. Their interactions evolved into a beautiful dance of mutual understanding and growing trust. At first, their meetings consisted of simple touches and shared silences, but soon Raphael began to initiate contact. He discovered joy in running his fingers through Frida's soft fur, marveling at how her coat felt like sunshine made tangible. The Labrador responded with subtle encouragement, tilting her head when his touch lingered longer, wagging her tail gently when he attempted new forms of interaction. These small victories accumulated, building Raphael's confidence like layers of paint on a canvas. Isabella and Javier watched with hearts swelling with pride as their son blossomed under Frida's patient mentorship. They began documenting each milestone. The first time Raphael laughed aloud while playing with Frida, the day he voluntarily left the safety of the front steps to meet her halfway down the path, the moment he first wrapped his arms around her neck in an awkward but sincere hug. These photographs told a story of growth and healing, capturing the essence of a bond that transcended species and circumstance. The impact extended beyond just Raphael's relationship with Frida. His newfound confidence began to manifest in other areas of his life. He started making eye contact with neighbors, offering shy smiles where before there had been only avoidance. When children approached him in the park, he no longer automatically recoiled, but instead considered their presence thoughtfully, much like Frida had taught him to do. The Labrador's influence was subtle yet profound, teaching Raphael that connections could be formed without overwhelming intrusion, that friendships could develop at their own pace without pressure. Perhaps most touching was how Raphael began incorporating elements of his interactions with Frida into his daily routine. He would spend hours drawing pictures of his golden friend, each sketch becoming progressively more detailed and expressive. At bedtime, he insisted on having his stuffed animals arranged around him in a circle, mimicking how Frida would often position herself protectively yet respectfully near him. These small rituals served as constant reminders of the trust and safety he had found in his canine companion's presence. Through it all, Frida remained the epitome of patience and understanding. She adapted seamlessly to Raphael's evolving needs, knowing instinctively when to offer encouragement and when to maintain her gentle distance. Her role had transformed from that of a visiting neighborhood dog to something far more significant, a bridge between Raphael's isolated world and the wider community, a living testament to the power of unconditional acceptance and quiet companionship. The ripple effects of Raphael and Frida's friendship spread throughout the neighborhood like waves from a pebble dropped in still water. Neighbors who had previously viewed Raphael's reserved nature with concern or misunderstanding began to see him through new eyes. They witnessed the transformative power of his bond with Frida, and it challenged their preconceptions about children with Down syndrome. Mrs. Rodriguez, who had always maintained a polite distance, started leaving treats for Raphael alongside those she regularly prepared for Frida, using the opportunity to exchange gentle smiles and brief conversations. Senora Alvarez found herself fielding numerous requests from other families hoping their children could benefit from similar interactions with Frida. What began as chance encounters evolved into organized friendship visits, where local children would gather to learn from the Labrador's example of patient companionship. Parents marveled at how their own children's social skills improved through observation of Raphael and Frida's interactions. The once shy boy had become an unintentional ambassador for understanding and acceptance, his journey inspiring others to approach relationships with greater sensitivity and patience. Isabella and Javier noticed a significant shift in community dynamics as news of their son's friendship spread. Local shopkeepers who had previously treated Raphael's presence with cautious formality now greeted him warmly, often asking about Frida and inquiring about his artwork. The neighborhood children, initially confused by Raphael's need for space, began emulating Frida's respectful approach. They learned to wait patiently for Raphael's signals, to offer friendship without demanding immediate reciprocation, and to celebrate small victories as meaningful progress. Even the local school administration took notice, inviting Isabella to speak about her experiences and share insights about fostering inclusive environments. Teachers began incorporating lessons about empathy and adaptive communication into their curriculum, using Raphael and Frida's story as a powerful case study. The impact reached beyond immediate neighbors, drawing attention from child development specialists and educators across Buenos Aires, who sought to understand how such a simple yet profound connection could catalyze such widespread positive change. Perhaps most significantly, Raphael's family experienced a transformation in their own social interaction. Isabella found herself connecting with other parents of children with special needs, forming a support network that enriched their lives immeasurably. Javier, who had always been protective of his son's privacy, became more open to sharing their journey, recognizing how their story could help others navigate similar challenges. The isolation they had once accepted as inevitable began to dissolve, replaced by a supportive community that celebrated diversity and embraced individual differences. Through it all, Frida remained the quiet anchor of this growing movement. Her presence continued to inspire gentler approaches to human connections, demonstrating that true friendship requires patience, understanding, and an unwavering willingness to meet others where they are. The Labrador's influence extended far beyond her immediate interactions, serving as a living example of how compassion and empathy can transform not just individual lives, but entire communities. As months turned into seasons, Raphael's emotional landscape underwent a metamorphosis that touched everyone who bore witness to his journey. The once guarded little boy who observed the world from a safe distance now radiated a quiet confidence that illuminated every aspect of his life. His laughter, once rare and fleeting, became a regular soundtrack to their home, echoing through the rooms with an authenticity that brought tears to Isabella's eyes. The transformation wasn't merely behavioral, it penetrated deeper, altering the very fabric of Raphael's being, much like spring thaw softens frozen ground. Isabella and Javier found themselves rediscovering their son through new eyes. The boy who had struggled with physical touch now initiated hugs with family members, his arms wrapping around them with surprising strength and affection. Mealtimes, once solitary affairs where Raphael preferred to eat alone, became opportunities for connection and shared stories. Their evenings on the front steps evolved into lively exchanges where Raphael would enthusiastically recount his adventures with Frida, his words tumbling out faster than his parents could keep up. The change was particularly evident in the way he expressed love openly, freely, without reservation. as if a dam holding back years of pent-up emotion had finally burst. Frida's role in this transformation went beyond that of a mere companion. She became a mirror reflecting Raphael's growing confidence, responding to each new milestone with appropriate encouragement and celebration. When he successfully completed a puzzle, she would place her chin on his knee in acknowledgement. If he bravely approached a new child in the park, she would stay close, her presence a comforting reminder of their shared journey. Her intuitive responses taught Raphael valuable lessons about reciprocity and emotional intelligence, concepts that typically challenge children with Down syndrome, but came naturally through their bond. The emotional depth of their connection manifested in ways that continually surprised and moved those around them. On rainy days, when Frida couldn't visit, Raphael would sit by the window, his face pressed against the glass, watching for her arrival. When she finally appeared, shaking off raindrops, his face would light up with such pure joy that passers-by often stopped to witness the reunion. These moments revealed the true extent of their bond, not just a friendship, but a profound emotional partnership that nourished both participants equally. Perhaps the most significant indicator of Raphael's emotional growth was his developing ability to express empathy. Having experienced Frida's patient understanding firsthand, he began extending similar compassion to others. When a younger child cried in the park, he would approach cautiously, mimicking Frida's gentle demeanor. His parents watched in awe as their son, who had once shied away from emotional displays, offered comfort and companionship to those in need. This evolution of emotional intelligence represented the culmination of his journey. From a boy defined by his limitations to one who embraced his unique gifts and shared them freely with the world. Through it all, Frida remained the steadfast guardian of Raphael's emotional well-being. Her presence acted as both anchor and sail, grounding him when emotions threatened to overwhelm, and propelling him forward toward new experiences with gentle encouragement. Their bond had become a living testament to the transformative power of unconditional acceptance and patient companionship, demonstrating that sometimes the deepest connections require no words, just an open heart and a willingness to meet another soul exactly where they are. The story of Raphael and Frida serves as a powerful reminder of the universal truths that bind us all, the fundamental human need for connection, understanding, and acceptance. Through their journey, we witnessed the profound impact of patience and empathy, virtues that transcend cultural boundaries and societal expectations. Their friendship illustrates how authentic relationships develop not through force or expectation, but through mutual respect for individual pace and comfort levels. In a world increasingly dominated by instant gratification and superficial connections, their bond stands as a testament to the enduring value of taking time to truly know and accept another being. This narrative holds particular significance for families navigating similar journeys with children who have special needs. It offers a roadmap of hope, demonstrating that progress doesn't always follow conventional timelines or expected patterns. The transformation in Raphael's life wasn't marked by dramatic breakthroughs, but by countless small, meaningful moments. Each touch, each shared silence, each tentative step forward contributing to a larger tapestry of growth and development. For parents watching their children struggle with social interactions or emotional expression, this story provides reassurance that breakthroughs can come in unexpected forms, often through the most unlikely of friendships. Moreover, Frida's role in this transformation carries important lessons for anyone working with or caring for individuals with special needs. Her intuitive approach, characterized by patience, non-judgment, and adaptability, serves as a model for effective support. She demonstrates that true assistance isn't about fixing or changing someone, but about creating a safe space where they can grow at their own pace. Her behavior exemplifies the power of unconditional acceptance, showing that sometimes the most profound help comes not from active intervention, but from simply being present and available. As we reflect on Raphael and Frida's journey, we're reminded of the interconnectedness of all beings. Their story teaches us that meaningful connections can form between the most unexpected pairs, transcending species and circumstance. It shows us that every individual, regardless of their abilities or challenges, possesses unique gifts that can enrich the lives of others when given the opportunity to shine. Their friendship stands as a beacon of hope, illuminating the path toward greater understanding and acceptance in our communities. The legacy of their bond extends far beyond their immediate neighborhood, offering a universal message about the transformative power of genuine connection. It challenges us to reconsider our assumptions about friendship, progress, and emotional growth, reminding us that sometimes the simplest acts of kindness and patience can create the most profound changes. As we carry their story forward, we're inspired to approach our own relationships with greater sensitivity and understanding, recognizing that true friendship knows no boundaries, whether of age, ability, or species, and that sometimes the most meaningful connections are those that teach us to see the world through another's eyes.